Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today. I watched Drop last night at an early screening. I'm filming this the day after on April 10th, so the movie sort of came out tonight, but it really premieres this weekend. I have a lot of thoughts about this little movie. First off, it's pretty short, but we'll get into it. Here's some details about the movie, then we're going to go through some of my thoughts, what worked, what didn't, and a little bit of a conclusion there, but the movie was directed by Christopher Landon, who also directed Happy Death Day and Freaky and some of the Paranormal Activity movies, which I did like some of the Paranormal Activity movies, but I don't think I ever got around to watching Happy Death Day. The writers, Gillian Jacobs and Chris Roach, and a couple producers, some names you might recognize, Michael Bay, Jason Blum, Brad Fuller, Cameron Fuller, and Sam Lerner. And then production companies, obviously, Blumhouse, distributed by Universal Pictures at a budget of about a reported $11 million, which is the sweet spot. Blumhouse knows how to print money. They make things for really cheap, and then they make a profit. I'm sure this movie will do well. This movie stars Meghann Fahy, I believe it's pronounced. She is, I guess her most notable role recently was White Lotus. And Brandon Sklenar, who plays Henry, known from 1923 and It Ends With Us. He was the other guy in It Ends With Us. Violet Bean is also in there playing Violet's sister. So Violet Bean is playing sister to Violet. And then there's some other smaller players in the film, but really we spend most of our time with Violet and Henry as they are on a first date. Drop, we'll go into a little bit of synopsis. Drop follows Violet, a widowed mother embarking on her first date in years with the charming Henry. Their evening at an upscale restaurant takes a sinister turn when Violet begins receiving anonymous messages via her phone's Airdrop feature, or they call them drops, or digi-drops, I think they call them in the movie. The message threatens the life of her son Toby and sister Jen unless she complies with a series of escalating demands, culminating in the directive to kill her date, which is the core of the film. The film premiered last month at South by Southwest, and it is now in theaters. So, the whole premise of the movie is pretty cool. I like these movies that are kind of single location movies that have a simple idea and they really just expand and extract and build attention on it. And that's what this movie really did. It did a great job, at least through the majority of the movie, of having Violet be very upset and uncomfortable for many reasons. Obviously, this is her first date in a long time. She is a widow, and we find out why she's a widow. We'll get into that in a little bit. But this is her first real date in a long time with this guy she met online, Henry, played by Brandon Sklenar. And he's a photographer, and he does like press and stuff like that. But she's nervous about leaving her little son Toby at home. She leaves him with her sister. So she's kind of a mess already going into this. And we get a little bit, she's very much a boy mom at the beginning of this movie, and then she's just distressed going to this date, and then things just start falling apart from there, as they do. So she starts getting these drops, and I think it works pretty well in the beginning, and then they kind of go into personal relationship stuff, stuff about her past and her abusive relationship with her ex-husband, who tries to off her, and then we find out, spoilers, something happens to him. But yeah, I'm not going to go into too much of the plot because I think it's worth a watch. Again, it is only an hour and a half movie, but I think it does tension well. It does kind of building this cast of characters in the room really well. Like, you don't really know who it could be in the beginning. There's a lot of people that kind of could go in either direction, which I think they do really well. There's a thing with a piano player where you don't really know. He comes off kind of as a sleazeball in the beginning, and then you don't really understand what his motive is, and he's just kind of just a sleazy piano guy. But you think it's him, and then there's a couple other people that stand out, and they do a really good job of really almost convincing you it's this person over this person, which I think was really well done. But yeah, basically Violet is being surveilled the whole time. If she does anything wrong, if she gets a drop, it says, you screwed that up, or don't do that again, or you shouldn't do that kind of thing. So it just adds to the mystery of this film, which I think it does pretty well through most of it, up until the end, where I think it really falls apart. I think the ending just underserved the rest of the story. The plot overall about the abuse, there's not enough. I mean, they give you some morsels to really feel for the character. You even get a little backstory from Henry about things that he's dealt with, some difficult things, but it's not enough for you to really feel for him. I feel like they really could have driven his story home a little bit more, made it more balanced, so they feel like maybe they're in the foxhole together in a way, which I think they tried to do, but I would argue it didn't exactly work in this movie. Again, the acting's great. I think they both did a really fantastic job. Meghann did a wonderful job. Brandon did a wonderful job. I think they both did the best they could do with the script. And again, like I would say 70% of it was really solid. I think I really liked the dynamic they had. Again, I wish it was a little bit more so we could really feel like, there's like maybe a little bit more of a connection here, maybe get a little bit more of their backstory, maybe go into some of the conversations that they had that led up to this date. Were kind of just flung in, which adds to the mystery to behind this guy and what he's doing, Henry, and then why do people want him dead, essentially. And I think the reason they want him dead is a little boring, if you ask me. It's a little predictable, especially after a certain point when you get more information. I think they could have gone a little bit... It goes back to what I say a lot of these movies. I think they could have gone a little bit weirder, especially because it's a Blumhouse movie, and they're typically horror-driven, sort of, but they've definitely been playing in the more sci-fi thriller kind of side of things, or at least techie thriller with Meghann and stuff like that. So they might be branching out to not just being kind of your typical horror movies or lower budget horror movies. But all in all, I think the movie was pretty solid. Again, I enjoyed most of it. I thought the ending was very, very sloppy and kind of silly. I mean, the whole movie is kind of silly. And some of the premise and some of the plot just doesn't feel super strong. If I had to say anything, if I had to really, really nail it down. But the thrills are good. The tension building is very good. And it would have been so much better if some of the stuff, some of the story around it is better. But I understand this movie is very tight. Again, an hour and a half. It moves very quickly. There's not a lot of time to really build things out and get these characters really fleshed out, which is not really what the movie's about. It's about kind of just this weird, isolated situation in this pretty much one location, which I love one location movies. I absolutely love it. So all in all, I might say I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed 70% of it. I think it did really well up until almost like the reveals came, and then it felt like, we've kind of seen stuff like this before. It feels like this or like that. Because I love a mystery, but I don't like feeling like, you kind of... Like, it's kind of samey, essentially. It's like I kind of have seen this movie before. At least I've seen the way this ended before, and you could kind of figure that out after a certain point. But you're still along for the ride, which is what really matters, and which is why I gave... on Letterboxd, I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I think it is a solid movie. Didn't blow my mind, but I think for the majority of it, I had a really good time. The ending fell flat. Some of the plot was just not enough for me to really sell kind of this potential relationship going on. But all in all, I enjoyed it for the most part. So I'd give it, 3 out of 5 essentially. If a numbered rating is interesting to you, did you watch it? Are you gonna see it? Let me know in the comments below if you want to see reviews like this. And for other things, there's a lot of stuff coming out this year, especially in the summer. I'm going to be covering a lot of reviews, and I do movie news and stuff like that. So stay tuned to the channel, but let me know what you thought of Drop. I hope it does well. I like these little movies. I want to see more like stuff like this. I hope it does well, but need something a little bit more next time. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.